Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, we're live on a Wednesday, September 29th at 12:06 p.m. It's a very simple stream today. We want to talk about the markets and how irrational they are, but are we actually rational? What are we thinking? What are our goals? Are they actually attainable? Are they reasonable? Are they achievable? Put any spin on the phrase you want. What's important is overall rationality. Where are you with your goals? Do you have goals? The goal isn't, I want to make a lot of money. I want to buy things that go up. No, you need to be very specific. You need to be surgical. You need to be precise. You need to have a plan. And if you're just buying things because you expect them to go up, that's not a plan. That's gambling. Might as well go to a casino. Might as well be buying AMC and GameStop stock, which is what people did. And then they sold it, and then they have no idea what to do with the capital. They have no strategy, no plan, nothing. And that is a surefire way to get into a situation that you're unable to handle, unable to manage, and you don't know what to do. It's like, imagine a real life situation where you're entering the situation without a plan, without a strategy. It doesn't make any sense. Only people that have prepared, have studied for a test, can actually navigate the test. So why the hell are you going to deploy capital into an extremely volatile market like the crypto space without a plan, without a strategy? Doesn't make any logical sense. So let's try and remain rational. I've expressed a lot of rationality over the last 2 years. Let me encourage everyone to iron down and solidify a plan of action. Try and stick to it. So obviously, most of my streams turn out into Q&A, which I like. Let's do that. The markets are on the edge. The edge of what? The edge of oblivion, or the edge of stratospheric inflationary appreciation? Both. One or the other. It's really a binary situation. Either they default on debts and the system implodes and the revolution occurs now, which is basically next month on the 18th of October. So it's about 2 weeks, give or take, until shit starts hitting the fan, or it doesn't, in which case revolution occurs anyway because of inflation. I mean, if they print, the supply chains aren't getting fixed anytime soon. It's going to drive inflation through the roof because it's going to stop people from spending. What they don't tell you is that, they'll raise rates, or defaulting on the debt is even worse. But if they raise rates and collapse the stock market, that curbs inflation because it drives people to lose a shitload of money. And if people don't have any money, they're not going to be buying stuff. So that cures inflation. People stop spending money because they don't have it. So that's what the news media and what the Fed, they don't talk about as the cure for inflation. Get people to stop spending the money. And that curbs demand to meet supply. That sounds pretty freaking horrible to me. Just saying. They don't talk about that stuff. So, but if they print the money to maintain servicing the debts, the transfer payments, so people aren't broke and they have a capacity to buy increasingly priced goods because supply chains are messed up, that continues the inflation because things will cost more as people could meet the constrained supply and the associated increased price. Either going up or down. The system's either inflating or deflating, and a deflation is painful and an inflation is painful. The system is extraordinarily unstable, and I don't know from history. I'm only 38 years old, and I'm sure countries have gone through this shit before. Obviously, we draw reference from Weimar Germany, so on, and other countries. The sentiment I have is it's a pretty shit situation. Instability, unpredictability, volatility. Let's hit them comments. Umberto's in the house. Crypto bets. Never early, never late. To the live stream, that is. My man. I've seen you talk about stablecoin positions on Arbitrum, cranking out 24% APY on Curve right now, but also 30 something percent incentivized yield on Abracadabra. I'll show you that real quick. Go over to Arbitrum, go over to Abracadabra, let it load. How do you take the same position over Abracadabra and earn an additional 36%? Yeah, by taking your LP position from Curve, you go to the farm page on Abracadabra and you put it in the farm for an additional 36%, which is exactly what I'm getting on about 30 grand, give or take, right about now. As you can see here, my man, crypto bets. That's not much of a bet. That's just working capital making more capital. These are stable coins generating these kinds of returns, partially incentivized from the Abracadabra treasury and partially from transaction volume on the Curve platform of in those specific stables, on those specific stables. Once it's staked on the Curve factory, how do you move it to Abracadabra? You don't need to. When you deposit on um, um, Arbitrum, when you deposit stablecoins in the Curve LP factory position, you go here. Nope, you don't go to create pool. You go to the pool. You go to deposit. You deposit your you deposit your 1 million mem, of course, because that's what we all have. Fantasyland. So we deposit our mem deposit. You get Curve deposit LP tokens, and you go over to Abracadabra and you deposit those here. You'll see them here. You deposit. And I clearly don't have that here, but I'm building a stablecoin position because of the uncertainty in the markets. This is how I handle fear. I save. I save in case shit hits the fan. I'm not necessarily fearing the markets. I, I, I fear that these markets will get hit, but I don't fear where my capital is. I fear it because these markets are really important, systemically important, because there's no opportunity in legacy finance. It's been gutted to be hollow. And I fear what happens if these markets get hit because there's no other opportunities but these markets. That's my fear. Igor, hello everyone. Be humble. I finally made it to a live stream. Always a pleasure. Chris, hi Noah. Look forward to your stream every day. Thank you for what you do. I hope it helps, guys. It helps me talking to you guys. Beazle Irish in the house. More lobby, a pleasure. Be humble. Remember the 18th of October, right? Well, we have a date. Let's see what they do. It's a choice, and it's really a binary choice. Avex is listed on Coinbase. Yeah, it is. I believe people can withdraw or transfer directly to Avalanche, and Avalanche Runch is like today or tomorrow. Curve and Aave are deploying on Avalanche like really right now, and we're going to figure this out. And I think it's going to be a lot of capital flow. And what's the play on Avalanche? I argue the play on Avalanche is the same play on Arbitrum, is the same play on Polygon, is the same play on Phantom, is the same play on Ethereum L1. A protocol that goes across all the chains, cranking out 70% returns. Why am I going to move capital all over the place? I really look forward to Popsicle Finance because right now I got liquidity, stablecoins, $1 position that I'm accumulating, generating nice returns, but I'd rather have it in a protocol that automatically transfer the capital to any chain to maximize my returns. That's what Popsicle is pushing for. That's a big deal. Daniel and the boys, they got some serious stuff going on. Pesha, good night. Good morning. I got afternoon folks in here. I got people all around the world, and it's a pleasure. It's a big world, and we're all on the same playing field now. That's exciting. Adam, pleasure from the UK. Yes, sir. Joe, I started leverage yield farming. Now everything else seems like an opportunity cost, right? Now, if you're leveraging stables, you have a minimized risk profile. So, you don't want to do like 90%. If there's a 10% slip on the stablecoin peg, you get hit. But if you're doing like 70, 75%, The odds of a stablecoin going off peg 25% is probably, or at least significantly, minimized. And that's the way you think of leveraged stablecoins. So obviously on Ethereum, you got some stablecoin leverage positions that are available. So we'll go over to Abracadabra on Ethereum. If you go to borrow, you can see that you could borrow a whole, well, not much. There's $179 million of three pool tokens leveraged. And you deposit, and you can deposit your three curves. So you go to three, you deposit your stables on three curve, three pool on 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 curve, and then Abracadabra handles deposit the convex, and they do that because they have to. It's a managed position. There's no convex three pool tokens, and then you're able to borrow against it your convex three pool after you deposit. In which case, you can leverage the crap out of it. 7x at a 70%. You get 3x the returns of three pool on convex, and if you go over the convex, you're able to see three pool. Where's three pool? Three pool, 8%. So 8, 16, 24. This would give you 24% on dollars, pure dollars. Pretty interesting stuff. More lobby. Have you seen the new LPs on Nova X on Baguette? The planets are now a form of passive income. Keep adding those revenue streams. There's more opportunities that I could potentially expose myself to. So I'm Baguette, Avalanche. It's all good. Just do your due diligence, understand the protocol you're interacting with, and watch your risk profile. And these are revenue streams, my friend. It might as well be owning a business because if you're earning 30% of your money, that's better than most business operating margins. Food for thought. Encoder, greetings from Portugal. Always a pleasure. Be humble. Thoughts on Icon's ECO system. Icon's old school. I got a microscopic position dating back to like 2017 at this point, and I don't really look at it. It's one of my old school bags, and I don't have any pathway to really liquidate it because I don't operate on centralized exchanges anymore. But yeah, you go Icon. I'm more interested in Cosmos Hub ecosystem at this point. Hey Noah, is there any dashboard API to check the variable yield day to day on S-Spell? They're going to upgrade the dashboard sooner than later. So these boys are working hand over fist overtime, and this is a heck of a protocol. I have only seen a couple of dev teams in the crypto space over the last couple of years that are as hungry as these boys. These boys have a serious motivation and drive and the potential to significantly disrupt the crypto space, which is extraordinary given it's a $2 trillion market at this point. Alex, hey Noah, is there any reason you're not all in on one farm considering the 50-50 popsicle and spooky? I don't go all in. I never spread too thin. Currently, the only farming I'm doing really is my MIM position on Arbitrum. Otherwise, full percentage wise, I'll go and tell you guys. Um, 47, 48% is Curve vis-a-vis CVX CRV, 21% is Spell, 10, 11% is Ren, 6% is Cosmos, 6% is ICE, Popsicle Finance, 3 and change percent is Frax, and then it's just smaller positions from there. So 90% of my portfolio is six positions. I'm obviously you can see the balance between Spell and FXS. I don't like to only pick the obvious winner. So the obvious winner, even considering MakerDAO, to me is Spell. So that's where I place my poker chips or my casino chips. That's where I've allocated my capital, thinking they will disrupt the system. But there's always other possibilities, and I don't want to discount Sam from Frax. I think he has significant potential to make some interesting software, and we'll see how that plays out. And I've sized my position accordingly. You see where I go, where I'm heading with that train of thought. I believe they're an underdog, and I've sized a position accordingly. 3% to 10% changes a portfolio. 3% to 30% really changes a portfolio. So those 1% bets make all the difference sometimes if they hit. Gary, hi all. This is the very first live stream I've seen. Thank you for your content of recent weeks. I've learned a great deal. Rational thinking is in an irrational world. I think it's an understatement, my friend. This is a horribly irrational world. You guys may have seen my retweet yesterday from TikTok investors, and people are, the general public have done things with the stock market that is emotionally devastating and dangerous. And the people's lives are just being destroyed because they weren't emotionally and psychologically prepared for the markets they were interacting with. And I hope that with my stream, we are much better prepared. You got to be prepared to take a fat hit on your portfolio, 50, 60, 70%, but you're making revenue. You have businesses and you're protecting capital. So in times like these, I'm not deploying my business revenue reinvested in the business. What I'm doing is I'm saving it. So that gives me optionality. And then in the coming days and weeks, I'll have a nice stash of saved business revenue where I can think about where I want to put it, what do I want to do with it. And that optionality is meaningful in times of extreme volatility. And it's not like I'm not thinking about carving out some of my core positions into, you know, um, optionality, meaning selling off some of my core positions for stable coins, which are very functional. Cash works in the crypto space. I don't really have that strong feeling right now. I feel that my position sizes, my portfolio structure and balance is on point. It's respective of the way I view the markets and the macroeconomic landscape. And first people I tell if I'm going to carve out some of my core portfolio of the stables is you guys. But I don't feel like that's the case at the moment. Um, I like the round number of CVX CRV that I have. FXS is locked for 4 years. That's a long-term play. Cosmos and the hubs that I have capital in, I can't do shit with that because there's no stablecoin bridges to and from the Cosmos ecosystem. And I'm not touching centralized exchanges with a 10-foot pole. Spell, a good part of that is streaming from the OTC deal I have. So that'll take another 8-10 months for capital to come in. So it's not even optional to do anything with that portfolio allocation. Um, what else? What else do I have? Ren is dark notes. I can't do anything. So my 90% of the portfolio is locked in position. So the only thing I really can do, the only optionality I have is to take my yield and not necessarily compound it, but rather store it as in reserve. Functional operating capital reserve that's generating 50% on the money at this point. So that's my current mentality, my current feeling of the market. And, you know, things I'm thinking about with regard to choices that I have. Any updates on your thoughts of time and its relationship to AVAX Rush? Time could be very significant. The concept of bonds is very significant, and it's a great financial experiment, in my opinion. What's up, Noah? Curious, are you okay with liquidity pool around 200%? Well, percent isn't necessarily risk. What's pertinent is the constituent components of the LP position. Let's say we're talking Avalanche, we're talking Joe USDT. So that's dollar stabilized Joe. If Joe appreciates significantly, you'll have impermanent loss. And on the downside, you'll have impermanent gains protection. I've talked about this concept many months ago, probably at the end of DeFi Summer 2020 was where I really started talking about this. But the overall position, Joe USDT, you want to look at it as an asset unto itself. It's neither of the two. So the overall position, the LP token, is going to appreciate if Joe appreciates, but it's going to be less than if you just had Joe. But on the downside, the LP position is going to depreciate less than if you just had Joe. So the point being, anything paired with a stable coin is going to be a dollar stabilized position. It's going to be a muted appreciation and protected depreciation, kind of like an option straddle in many regards. But to boot, you're also going to get significant yield, incentivized returns, as well as transaction fees, which is in exchange for the muted volatility. So you're actually getting muted volatility on a position in exchange for yield. In fact, that sounds much better than just holding like Joe, um, risk on. I'm a risk mitigation fanatic in many regards. So if I have an opportunity to exchange volatility for a revenue stream, yeah, that sounds pretty damn good to me. Food for thought. Food for thought. Justin, do you like to outlook in terms of revenue generation, appreciation of ICE or Spellmore? Well, I think the two platforms, as well as the dev team, have the capacity to disrupt the entire crypto space. I think Spell has a capacity to disrupt MakerDAO. I think ICE is not on the same playing field as things like Visor, particularly because of the dev team. I think ICE has the potential to be exactly what I thought would emerge when we were talking about that Uni V3 narrative. Um, where Uni V3 are NFTs, so nobody really knows how to optimally manage their liquidity. But I think third party providers always would come along and not just really target Uni V3 on whatever chain it's deployed on, but all the LP providers. Why can't a protocol automatically and in an optimized fashion take liquidity and deploy capital to where it's best functional? And this is really why Alchemist always caught a fancy. So it doesn't have to be in an NFT form, the deposit, but it's just a deposit where a protocol is deploying your capital strategically in an optimized way. Um, Pretty interesting. Alchemist has a heck of a dev team too. But my fancy, what has caught my eye, is the dev team behind Popsicle, Abracadabra, which is time. Time is just a small protocol. I don't really see it part of the macro crypto story currently, albeit bonds is an extraordinary concept. But as I always say, I'm never early and never late, and we'll see how that monetary experiment unfolds. But providing liquidity is basically a fundamental component of the crypto space that we've seen for 2 years now at this point. And debt systems, which is exactly what Abracadabra is. So I think it's big stuff. I don't know price points up at some point, but global macros could tear it down. But that's where my capital belongs, in my opinion. Justin pulled up the AVAX chart for a good laugh. Coinbase listing right before rush. Who knows? Probably it's down with a Coinbase listing. Let's take a look. Market cap. Well, it got hit a little bit, but this is looking for an inverted hammer if it gets hit even more, and that's usually a bottoming candle. I personally prefer a hammer as a bottoming candle. That thing looks even better. And this chart with this purple translucent rectangle and this region of price action congestion looks really good. It could have dipped harder to the lower level of price action congestion. A little bit of price action here about 2 days, but clearly there's a massive base at over a 50%. Well, it's a 60% drawdown down to this massive base of price action congestion. Um, this is bullish for the price action congestion here to have provided support to such a degree that it produced a bullish hammer. Hmm. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Hey, Noah, is that a correct APR on spell staking? No, it is not. It's probably around 30% that I hear from the team. Truly legit, do you stake your Cosmos Iris or keep it on osmosis? I have a bunch of Cosmos that's staking unto itself. I have a bunch of Iris that's staking unto itself, and I have a bunch of Iris paired with Osmo that's staking. Um, it was a money printer for quite a long time, and Osmo has been appreciating quite reasonably. 1 second, just logging into Kepler. We'll take a look at how that's doing. This was up at like 80 grand for a while. That was pretty crazy. Five and change. I saw Osmo at 7. This thing's cranking out 224% at about 30 grand worth of liquidity. which is nice. So I convert my Osmo to IrisNet. Iris fits into the China narrative that I describe, and Osmos is a big deal, but IrisNet is the China narrative, so that's why I convert my capital accordingly. A fair amount of Cosmos, Atom, obviously, Osmos staking. This was all literally an air job. It has been just an incredible capital producer. And IrisNet. So actually, probably wouldn't mind maybe removing some liquidity. Um, I would like to keep my Iris position as high as possible. I have that's my. I'm a long-term player. I'm the guy who locks for 4 years. I'm the guy with like this ridiculous time horizon because I'm going to hit on that narrative. If the digital yuan launches and Cosmos hubs vis-a-vis IrisNet are the next big thing, I'm going to play it now, and I'm going to wait 4 years to find out because we all know what happened 4 years ago with the crypto space as compared to where we are now. So I'm the type of guy that wants that 4 years from now. I'm going to place the 4 year bet now, and in 4 years' time, we'll see what happens. Maybe that little 15 chip in Iris is worth like 15 mil. We'll see in 4 years. And that's the time horizon that I have. Hilda, yes, indeed. Thank you. Daniel, Chris, is the interest rate on Abracadabra for borrowing MEM fixed? Interest rate for borrowing. Yes, the interest rate is currently fixed to my understanding. Justin, how do you onboard fiat if you don't touch sex? Okay, Gemini. So I don't onboard any fiat. I haven't brought any capital into the crypto space since the end of 2019. Right now, capital only comes out of the crypto space. So I have, albeit I strongly encourage persons to not necessarily do what I do because my portfolio is in a situation that probably most people's uh, isn't. So it's very viable to use the crypto space as I espouse all the time as a savings account. So taking your income and deploying it to Aave and deploying it to strategic LP positions, risk minimized LP positions, dollar stablecoin paired LP positions for muted volatility. And that's a great way to save capital and experience appreciation over time, as well as starting to set up your recurring revenue streams. So I just don't bring capital in anymore. I'm at the point where capital would only go out. Um, One up. Do you Noah? Do you think there's any cause for concern with the VC type investors? Yeah, no, there's no VC type investors in Time Wonderland. Frankly, the people that collateralized Time in Wonderland are the same people that took on the OTC deal for Abracadabra. So they're it's a quality team of old school people in the crypto space, each and every one of them. We'll see what plays out, but I think I like them all very much. I literally talk to them all on a daily basis. That's the type of communication stream we have at this point. Um, they have control in many regards with regard to the quantity of liquidity that's outstanding, but that's food for thought. There is a bit of centralization in that regard. It'd be nice to see. This is how I talk about projects like this. It's early, so you're only going to know how market actors are going to play out and affect price action over time, 1 to 2 years. So I would expect in a couple months or a year for some of those early value allocators to start dipping capital out, taking capital out, which means that liquidity is now going to circulate through the ecosystem. Um, there's increased risk associated with deploying capital early. Um, and that's why I never do it. That's why I'm never early and never late. I'll check back in a year. Thanks, Noah. Could you explain what makes Popsicle Finance unique from other yield optimizers? The dev team? Well, Beefy Finance is not a yield optimizer. They're an auto compounder. They don't actually do anything interesting, in my opinion. They just automatically compound positions. Um, So the only thing comparable to Popsicle really is Visor and uh, X token, maybe, uh, but the ambitions for Popsicle are significantly greater. moving capital cross chain to seek out the best opportunity, whereas a lot of these assets are just automatic optimizers for Uniswap V3 positions. Dan, don't worry, you can always rewind. Be kind, rewind. SIF chain is a bridge for Cosmos stablecoins. I use it to keep USDC on the Cosmos up. Oh, oh, I'm going to have to extend some due diligence. Be humble. So much great information. You're very welcome. Magnus, I appreciate your insight and perspective, Noah. Gives me a lot to think about the last couple of weeks. Yeah, let's be different, boys and girls. Don't buy something to hodl it, hoping it goes to $1 million, and then what the fuck are you going to do with the money? If XRP goes to $500, nobody's going to know what to do with the money because it's not a productive asset. Ah, you want assets that pay you. You want assets that produce dividends. You want assets that are useful assets on a business balance sheet that actually produce revenue streams that pay you a salary so it works for you so you don't have to work for you. AKT? You mean XTK? You can't own everything you want to own, my friend. I got 90% of my portfolio in 6 assets. I got nothing else. With my portfolio size? If I take $1,000 and put it into something, it doesn't do much for the portfolio. I got to put 1% into a position to have the portfolio affected in any way by taking on the position. Can't own everything you want to own. Respect the portfolio. Deploy your portfolio respective of your total cap, how much you're working with, work in percents, and and we can do better, and we will. Wednesday, September 29th at 12:38 p.m. I thank you everyone for joining. I got up a new video on AskFit. 48 views so far. It's pretty cool. It's a very simple introduction to Curve Finance. I'm trying to get out some different types of content, not necessarily just talking about recurring revenue streams, but maybe some low level, like basic stuff. I should probably do a video on Aave and maybe show Gemini and how to take fiat from the real world, move it into DAI, USDC, and maybe just put it on Aave as a simple savings account solution that works, that isn't a bank. And that's a great type of piece of content that this type of platform is suited for. So, food for thought, food for thought. I thank you all for joining. Tell everyone to subscribe. After party on Discord. I wish you all a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.